Okay, everyone, it is Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, and I am back finally on the live streams. Let's get my little camera up. Oh, and I hear Cirilla, so she's already here. First thing up, right, Cirilla? She just came. I heard her meowing as we went. So anyway, yeah, welcome back. Welcome back to me. I had a week off, but I am back here for more of the special antics and live drawing for my YouTube and Facebook Live. Anyway, yeah, so let me get this up here because I got the stuff on the table already, right? I think it's this one. I know everybody wants to watch her trying to get kisses from me, though. So anyway, yeah, there's a couple of pieces here. One of them was actually in the thumbnail for this one, or is in the thumbnail, depending on if you're watching this twice. I did put the initial color layers down on these two paintings. I know it looks kind of garish right now, but I promise I layer over the top of them. There is a method to my madness. I usually lay on top of straight colors, even when I'm doing the what do you call those? Even when I'm doing watercolor pieces. Anyway, so the other piece that's up here and its partner piece are, hey, James, how's it going? These two pieces are actually the original test piece and then, or what was the original cover, and then the what wound up being the test piece, and then the final cover for my upcoming novel, The Kirkland Horror. So I've been keeping that kind of quiet for a while because it's been taking me years to get through the editing on it, even though it's really shouldn't have been. I think it's only about 50,000 words, but I took breaks here and there, just like I've been doing with Chadiana, which I'll get to that too. But yeah, the Kirkland Horror, although I was hoping to finish the setup today, it should be available for pre-order, hopefully before I go to, what is that, New Hampshire this weekend for the Granite State Comic Con. So, yeah, we'll see if Barnes Noble gets it. Amazon should have it up available for pre-order. The release date's going to be October 13th. Originally, I was going to release it because it's kind of Lovecraftian Eldritch horror. I was going to release it in August. Kept taking me forever to get it done, so here we are. I'm putting some finishing touches on it, laying it out, which will only take a couple hours. I'm pretty fast with that. And then, yeah, since this is all done and scanned, then it looks really nice under this lighting right now. That's fairly close to how it looks in actuality. Hey, Cirilla. Yeah, so that my second novel will be available in October 13th. Though I'm hoping with the book expo I'm doing at Keene University and the street fair I'm doing in my hometown, I'm actually going to have what do you call it? Pre-release copies with me. But anyway, yeah. So that was the big announcement for today. Nothing bad, all good, I hope. You got to read another novel by me. As for Chadiana, like I said, I will be getting back to her. I have a couple of things to finish for some of my fall designs, which I'm going to be working on and going over some of them today. Some of them were the stickers I've been working on. Oh, Cirilla, that's really good. Make the camera shake. Everyone, oh my God. It's like she's kissing you guys. She just really wants to be a part of the show today. Right, Cirilla? Anyway, yeah. So I'm finishing up a few pieces for the October collection of new stuff. And then, yeah, I'm back on Chadiana. I know people are waiting forever for it, and I keep promising it, and then it's not happening. So anyway, yeah. Nisa from Vagrant Story. We saw the Grim Reaper last show. I actually didn't touch him too much, but I might finish that up. So he's got some colored pencil that's got to go down. I do have Sydney and Ashley still from Vagrant Story, which, if you're not familiar, does match with Nisa as well. Very big inspiration for me. Those aren't part of the October collection. And I've got a Wicked Witch of the West going right now. I plan to do a lot of witches plus some other pieces, which I'm actually going to make a print out of the Grim Reaper now, since that's, whatchamacallit, looking pretty good. But I'm also going to be doing some cheesecakey type stuff. I don't know if Steph is watching yet. He would really appreciate this one. The witch holding the pumpkins in front of her, jack-o'-lanterns in front of her. And I will be making a print out of that at some point. Well, it'll be for October. But yeah, I plan on doing a couple more witches. Obviously, probably another Orlock, a bunch of stickers, including some that I'll only have during the fall from now on. Because they're like special promotional stuff or Halloween related. And then what was the other one? Oh, I'm going to do some other pieces. I was thinking about a Headless Horseman, Succubus, Orlock, I said. What else was I going to do? I don't know. I have a couple plans. But anyway, we might as well get to these here. Hope the lighting is a little bit better. Anyway, yeah. Again, James, nice to see you. Glad you stopped by. And, you know, for what it's worth, James, since you're here and you were asking me about conlaying and stuff, I can't claim that the Kirkland Horror is a conlaying book, but I did look up, and I'm going to get the word wrong for it and probably pronounce it wrong. I think it's, no, I'm not going to be able to. Let me just read it off a computer screen. Topono. It's not that, is it? The arrangement. No, it's not the arrangement. Okay. What is it? The names for places. Names for places. Word. What is that? There's a word for place names, right? What is that? Toponym. Toponym. Anyway, yeah. With you as Cat as the main character. You know, I have thought about it. I've thought about a dog and or a cat children's book or story. I'll take it under consideration, James. But yeah, toponym. Am I getting that right? Place names, right? I was looking up place names, English, Irish, Scottish place names, and I used that for creating the Kirkland Horror. So there was a little bit of language involved in some of the place names. And so, again, James, it was kind of like a test for things with Chowdiana, which, you know, has most of the conlangs in it. Again, since you were asking about it, I'm not without anything going on. I just haven't had the time because I'm doing all these pieces for, see this cat hair all over me right now, which is great for inking and painting. But yeah, I have, you know, I have to, it's not that much work, right? It's sad to say that. Sorry that I can't type. That's okay. I can't talk usually on these things. My mind just goes all over the place and I forget words. Probably because I'm still not used to staying up so late. By 8 o'clock, the old man that I am, I start getting tired. But I have to get myself used to this. Anyway, I'm going to put down a wash on the Wicked Witch first before I get into some of this other stuff. But yeah, so as I was babbling on about, it's not true conlanging, but there's a little bit of at least linguistics involved in the place names in the Kirkland Horror. And I even chose the names of characters based on at least things that were relevant to the story. So yeah, I'll get back to Chowdown one step at a time. I know my plate's full, and you know, for what it's worth, I signed up for a bunch of more shows. I decided to try out some holiday markets. I'm sorry, I'm looking for my cloth that I usually work with my paints with. I don't know what, oh, it's right behind me. So anyway, yeah, I signed up for a bunch of new shows, and there's one that apparently is through the Society of Illustrators that I was, I think, invited to, but it's still curated, so I don't know if I'm getting into it. a bunch of holiday markets. So if I get into the Society of Illustrators one, plus I'm doing Punk Rock Fest, the Wreck the Halls in December. I'm doing the New Jersey Horror Con and Film Festivals, one-day holiday market in December, and I have I signed up for the Super Collector Fest in Wayne, New Jersey, the day after I have the Blue Arrow Comic Con. Granted, it's the Garden State Comic Fest at Blue Arrow Farm. So, yeah, I if I get into the Society of Illustrators their show, I will be up to 34 for the year. 34 shows. 22 are done. I have 3 more this month. 2 in October, and then 3 the other 2 months. I think that math was right. But anyway, yeah. So trying to get this on. As I said, it was kind of like a quirk of having cut my wrist on accident that I learned that I could keep a cloth on my wrist, and it's a really convenient way of accessing a cloth for wiping my anything at the minute again. Oh yeah. Hey Rob, I hope you're doing all right. I know that you're patiently waiting for Chadiana, and I do apologize for that. But you're getting my novel soon, especially being a backer, right? So, yeah, anything at the Menon Arena again. Not until next year. So the Garden State Comic Fest, they're doing one in I forget where Blue Arrow Farm is, but it's up in New York. So that one's going to be in 2 weeks. And then the one in Wayne is the day after. It's next Sunday. I don't think Menon Arena will be until whatchamacallit, next June or July. That's usually when they have that one. But it's possible that those guys will be putting on other shows like the Blue Arrow one. They usually do another one in New Jersey for the winter. Although that one was at the Sussex County Fairgrounds, as I remember. But you know, Rob, I'll be at the street fair in Ridgefield Park. If you want something in New Jersey, I'll be in Newark on November 18th, and then everything I'm doing in December is in New Jersey. I'm staying to New Jersey for the rest of the year after I get back from, will that be, Monster Mania in Pennsylvania and Rhode Island. Those are both in November. So, yeah, the event in Wayne is the Super Collector Fest, and it's next Sunday. I've never done their show before, but I'm going to give it a shot. I think I forget the guy's name. I apologize in case he actually I'll be at a few of those with Lauren. Richfield Park, you said. Yeah. Richfield Park, the street fair is the first Saturday in October. I think that's the 7th or the 8th. I don't know. Without me able to look it up on my phone, I'm saying I can't look it up on my phone, but I can look it up on my computer. My events and appearances. See, I even have to go to my own website to know what I'm doing. Well, I do have that's done. I have my planner right next to me on the floor. Yeah, so Blue Arrow Farm is September 18th. That's in Pine Island, New York. New Jersey Collector Fest is in Wayne. That's August 19th. The Book Expo in Union in New Jersey, that's September 30th at Keene University. Ridgefield Park Street Fair is on October 7th. And then I'm back in New Jersey and Newark on the 18th. Holiday Market on the 16th of December. I forget. 8th and 9th, I think, is the Punk Rock Wreck the Halls in Trenton. And like I said, well, I guess the Society of Illustrators one at the beginning of December will not be in New Jersey. Yeah. So yeah, and I don't wanna overpromise here, but I'm really hoping that at least Chadiana number 3 will be done, and I'll be working on Chadiana number 4 by the time I see you at the street fair. I don't know about some of the other ones this month, but we'll work it out. Collector Face Fest, One Pal Drive. Okay, so yeah, I'll be seeing you a bunch. Well, you and Lauren. So it's always good to see both of you, and I always appreciate that you guys stop by. I'm just, you know what it is, Rob? I mean, I'm trying to, well, I said this on my Patreon, I'm trying to increase my visibility. Plus, I'm doing more horror shows. So I'm just trying to get a bunch of fan artwork done to get people over to the table. But I still prefer doing stuff that's public domain. And I grew up on the Wizard of Oz, although I'm doing the book version of the good old Wicked Witch here. She has my loose interpretation, because she definitely has a eye patch in the book, from what I was able to gather. I'm guilty of having not read it yet, but there are now 2 projects I want to do that involve me actually sitting down and reading that collection that I bought a while ago that's in hardcover. And I had a conversation with an artist friend, JB, about he was telling me about the books and how there's actually like a lot of cool stuff I would probably really enjoy, considering my love for horror as well. The books will come when you're ready. I'm in no hurry. I know you're not in any hurry, but you know what? And I appreciate that, Rob. I really do. I always feel like I am, because I feel like time is so precious. And I hate that so much time has gone by since the last time I put out a Chadiana book. And that was even true when I put out the first issue, Rekindled, and the second issue. I feel like they were like a year apart. And especially trying to increase my visibility, workload, fan base, all that stuff, income, what have you. I can't rely on yearly comics to get people excited for Chadiana. But I'm really pleased that people like the book enough that they're willing to be patient with it. If my fan base was bigger, I don't know that they would be. I'd be up there with George R. R. Martin and, when I was growing up, Joe Mad, who could never get a book out. No shade. I mean, he's getting what is that, Battle Chasers going again. Anyway, she's going to go with a light yellow wash, and it's a little uneven toward the top, but you guys get to see how this goes. I do plan on making videos, both for my YouTube and maybe some stuff that's exclusive to my Patreon at some point. I have to get through some of this other stuff. I'm loving doing all the shows, but it definitely is, it's a different experience when you're doing so many, because you don't have time to prep for the next show. You kind of have like 2 jobs going at once. It's almost like you're doing shows on the weekends, and then you come home and you work in the studio. And if you're lucky, well, I wouldn't say lucky, if a show gets a little slow, which they always do at certain points, you can sometimes get a little bit of the studio work done while you're at a show. But I find these smaller pieces are easier to work on those. George R. R. Martin, there is no Winds of Winter, if you ask me. See, yeah, man gets so much hate. I've never met him. I don't know him personally or anything, but I get the impression that to some degree he gets a lot of writer's anxiety, if you will. I think that he worries a lot. Well, I can relate to that. I really can, because I do the same thing. Part of why I held 3 back was because I started hating the art that at one point I thought was the best thing I had ever done. And now it's just a matter of like getting some editing done on just 1 page of combines. Just 1 page with a fake language that I made up. I'm just too particular about my work to just make anything up. Well, James, who may or may not be still watching, can understand that, because those of us who create languages like them to be solid. I mean, I'll read Winds of Winter when it comes out, if it ever does. Oh my God, you know what I'm doing here though? Like, I'm not even like reading these. I'm not even like displaying them, like when James said hello and then write a story about the cat, right? Sorry, he can't type. 1 step at a time, my plate's full. And then you were asking about men in Richfield Park, Collector Fests. You're in no hurry. Yeah, so I was on Winds of Winter, right? I should keep putting those things up because it's not so great when somebody just like bounces in and they're like, what the hell is he babbling about? The questions up, it gives context at least. But anyway, yeah, I'll probably read Winds of Winter when it comes out. George R.R. Martin's not my favorite writer of all time. I wouldn't put him in my top 5, but he might be in the top 10. But I do have to say that, whether he ever finishes it or not, the whole Song of Ice and Fire series is really a great study in how to write believable characters of varying types. I mean, I do think that he has done something incredible in that regard. They should teach those books at some point. What do we got here, James? Still here, listening carefully. Oh, that's cool. I appreciate that, James. Here out on Long Island. I guess it would be too hard for you to get to that book expo. I don't know. I'm going to have to start making time to go out and see people. There's a group of people that I haven't seen in a bit, but they get together at the Spider's Web in Yonkers, New York, the new Spider's Web comic shop out there. And, I think it's on Wednesdays. I'm going to start trying to get there at least once a month, because Yonkers is still a bit of a drive for me, but the guys there are pretty cool, the new owners. And so are my friends who hang out there. So I've been meaning to get there for a while, but like everything else, my schedule is unforgiving. What do we got here, Rob? Feast and Dance with Dragons was one book, but the publisher wouldn't print a 2,000-page hardcover. You know what, though? I would believe that's probably true. I mean, even from my limited experience now as being a publisher through Darkfire Press. I'm sorry, I shouldn't lean over what I'm doing so people can actually see it. But even in my limited experience as a publisher through Darkfire Press, oh, you know what? That's why I should have this lower, because those banners come right across. Yeah, I still can see how at some point, even when you're printing large amounts of a book, when you've got something like, even 500 pages, the cost of doing it's a lot. I'm sure those big publishers, because they print overseas and whatever, they don't have to pay as much, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And then you have to like mark up your cover price so that, you know, your publisher, the distributor, and the bookstores can all make a profit. You know, the great thing about distribution is always for whatever, whether it's comics or books or I'm sure products that you get on a shelf in a supermarket or a store. The great thing is you reach more people because you get space on, or you potentially get space on the shelves. Nowadays, there's like two types of distribution because you can be on a website, but not necessarily in the stores, such as my books are right now. But anyway, it's great to have distribution because you can reach more people and get your stuff on shelf space. But the bad thing is there's a bunch of middlemen. So you have to make sure everything's priced accordingly so that all those people and all that overhead can be covered. And it's a challenge. I wouldn't say it's a problem. I would say it's a challenge. It's a challenge to keep the prices reasonable all around, but so that everyone is making a little bit of something off of a book sale. You know, anyway. If I had plans this got better, I probably would have had some of these bits worked out on him. I don't know though. Maybe I don't want to give him that much of a highlight on that black cloth on his cloak. It does kind of look great. A little bit though, just a little bit of contrast would probably be worth it. But then I gotta make sure. Put some work into it. Right. Anyway. This one's unique too in that I did not sign it. Which is funny. I'm going to have to still put that in too. He's just about done though. I'm waiting for her to dry, so I might as well just work on this one for a bit. What do we got? Need a quick, fun read. Hell Phone by Benji Nate is great. Silver Pocket Sprocket Press. I may take you up on that. Oh, wait a second, right? I might take you up on that, Rob. Forgot to put that up. Banner for the Patreon supporters, of which you are one of those. Yeah, I just picked up a bunch of books, but it was at it was Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore. I'm forgetting where I even was this weekend. Hopefully that's understandable considering how much I seem to be moving around these states lately. Yeah, I'll check it out. You have a brief description of what the book's about. I mean, I could look it up, but I'm just figuring maybe while we're on the live stream, it gives me more to respond to. Yeah. Hell Phone. Oh yeah, but what did I pick up? I picked up a lot of Stranger Comics' Niobe series because I just backed one of their Kickstarters, so I got the rest of their graphic novel collection for that series. I was saying to Sebastian Jones, the creator of Niobe, when I first met him, because Niobe is more of like a African fantasy story, kind of like Chadiana. It's more of a South Asian, Middle Eastern one. And I think he and I, when I first met him, were like the only people doing anything that wasn't, as far as like a fantasy story. Not that it didn't exist, but in comics, we were the only two guys that were really concentrating on it. Although I still think I was there for, well, I wouldn't say first. That's not fair. Sebastian's out in California. I don't really know until I met him at New York Comic Con what he was up to before, but I still feel like that Grim Reaper gets a little dark on that end. If I move this over, though, it's going to like blind me. Maybe I could move it down. I don't know. I'm trying my friend Len's strategy of putting more lights on. Ooh, that worked. We seem to have Brian on the bottom there. All right. So Rob says, Google or go to the website. It is very funny. So Hellphone. Hellphone. Benjamin. That's actually, the art looks familiar. I don't know if I've seen him. Her. At a show. But it looks like there are collections. And I guess this looks interesting. Flung into an investigation of a grisly crime. With each new phone call, the girls are dug deeper into a conspiracy. Turns their lives. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Does sound good. Yeah. And it's new, right? Because it looks like it was Novels for Teens 2023 book. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll check it out, Rob. I still got to check out that In the Mountains of Madness adaptation that you mentioned. Horror movie fan. Yeah. Of course, I'm a horror movie fan, Rob. If you didn't know, yeah. Eyes of My Mother. I haven't heard of it, but that doesn't mean much. Well, I really can't say it, but I was going to say I'm old, but that's unfair. I just don't seem to get as much advertisements as I used to when I was more of a TV watcher, which I've never really been much of, but now I just watch a lot of YouTube, and the ads I get are very, what should I say? What's the word for it? Eclectic. I don't necessarily feel like I get good ads. Sometimes I get just nonsense that it's like, why am I getting this? So I don't always know about like newer horror movies, but I did want to see the Voyage of the Demeter. It's funny, I was telling someone I had an idea to do something just like that, where I was going to write a short story about a ship, and just slowly the reader would figure out that it was the Demeter. Obviously, from what I understand, and even based on the title and the advertising, that movie is being a little bit more explicit from the get-go about what the movie is about. But why do I feel like there were a lot of films? Oh yeah, I mean it's campy, but I wanted to see Renfield as well. I have to catch it on I'm kind of behind on my movies, honestly. There's a lot that I want to say, but Eyes of My Mother, and we'll give it a shot. Let's see, what do we got, Rob? If you like heavy-duty horror novels, Super Bloomper is a treat on YouTube. Super Bloomper. God, Rob, I don't know how you do it. I mean, you seem to just be like a true consumer of just, well, I'll use the word again, eclectic entertainment. And I love that, right? Like, I think it's great. So it's not at all a criticism. But yeah, I just always hear of new things every time I talk to you. And when I see you post things on Instagram, it's always like, look at these like 6 books I just polished off. So you're keeping the whole entertainment industry afloat on your own, you and Lauren. It's great. We appreciate you, Rob, for all your contributions. It's a little bit of a glare where I'm sitting, looking at it. This is what I was doing all yesterday, finishing the colored pencil aspect of Kirkland Horror. Cover art, yeah. Really bad with the words sometimes. Okay. I don't want to overdo it, and now I feel like I kind of did. Maybe I should have left them alone. I don't know. I can still go over it with some black again now. Ooh, what do we got now? Rob. Hawk Mountain is entertainment. Disturbing read. Lauren. So, yeah, that's a funny thing. I have still yet to read any Cormac McCarthy work. I own a copy of The Road. I hear, what is it, Blood Meridian is like really hard. But yeah, it's funny because like I've read about him and I saw the film No Country for Old Men. I haven't seen The Road because I want to read it first. I know I'm like really on top of my reading, just like I am on top of Jadiana. But yeah, everything I've read about Cormac McCarthy, he seems like he would be like a perfect writer for me. So I really have to make it a point to read. You know what? Maybe there were a couple of things I wanted to read still this year. If I can actually get back to, you know, the pace I had gotten to again. During COVID, I think I read, and I'm not a fast reader, I think I read like 25, 30 books during COVID the first year, which was great. I read more when I was in college and commuting to Brooklyn back and forth. What's up, Cirilla? I know, you want that. Yeah, but I would, Yeah, I want to give The Road a try, and I'm probably going to pick up more of his books. So that's great to hear. Lauren's a big fan. I want to really try him out. I forget. I had put some books to the side. Oh, well, yeah, I never had read it, but I still want to read Dune. Dune's on my list for one of the next books to read. But you know what happens is I go through these pauses in reading, and then it's like, oh, gonna read Dune next. It's not gonna work. Or am I gonna like have trouble because I haven't read in a while? Cormac McCarthy. Well, I will tell you this: if Lauren's gotten me really great, like Cormac McCarthy book recommendations, I would love to hear them. I'm sure she'll say all of them, and I understand that, but the reason The Road appealed to me was because it was post-apocalyptic, which, I mean, I love fantasy and horror stuff most. I know he's not that type of writer, but post-apocalyptic seemed like the most, at least in my typical sort of reading habits and what I'm interested in entertainment-wise. So I figured I'd start there. But it's not that that's the only stuff I can read, of course. It's just what I prefer. Yeah, so, yeah, let me know if she has any recommendations. Gotta get a slightly better angle on this because I am not able to see that line perfectly. A little bit of a glare where I am. Oh. Well, I didn't think I was going to have to layer it this much, but then again, my colored pencils can be a little drastic on black sometimes. That's okay, though. This will be another one that I put up for sale at some point. I don't know. I'm planning during the holidays to do that. That probably washed it out, didn't it? That's a little better. You got that out of the way. Just for a moment. Yeah, he's looking all right. Junji Ito, No Longer Human. Which one was that? Another great book. Lauren reads mostly manga, light novels, and loves Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's, the game, which is cool. I've never played it. I'm actually finally, after I was working a temp job during the summer, but when that ended, I finally made some time to go back and play Blasphemous because I want to play Blasphemous 2, which I already purchased, but I never played the last two DLCs for that. So I have been making a little bit of time for myself at the very, very end of the night. Some nights. Manga titles, yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, she plays the games. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I've never played them. They seem interesting, though. Like, I get the concept of somebody's told me about it. And I think I watched, I wouldn't say a Let's Play. I do watch a lot of gamer YouTubers. It was probably either Donkey or Indie Mouse that did a Five Nights at Freddy's video, which is probably how I first got to know what the game was about. My students play them all the time. Well, I don't know if it's still as popular, but well, I mean with the high school kids. Not that the game is not popular, but there's always fads and phases. Let's see what we got. I backed Sea of Stars 3 years ago, and it's out on Steam. Who was it? Either my brother or my friend Mike was just talking about that game. Apparently, it must have been my brother. Because I think he said there was very much like a Chrono Trigger feel to it. My only hesitation, as I told them, is I've gotten so used to action games. It's very hard for me to play a turn-based video game. I don't know. I have a tough time with it holding my attention. My mind and body doesn't like to slow down enough for me to sit there and wait. But I have heard good things about it. They were talking the game up, or one of them was. I think it was my brother. I think my brother was trying to get my friend Mike to play it. And probably the rest of us too. I'm on a texting thread with my friend Mike, my friend Steve, who lives in Florida now. Well, he's lived in Florida for a while. And then my brother, my friend Mike, and my friend Steve, yeah. It's the way we all keep in contact anymore. Nope. This one. I'm afraid that I didn't go far enough with the red over here. A bit of colored pencil will fix that. I'll check it out though. I mean, I've got PlayStation 4 and 5. I'm kind of using both right now, so depending on which game I'm playing. But I will take a look at it. Can't promise I'll get to it soon, because after blasting this, it's going to be Lies of P. And after Lies of P, it's probably going to be Lords of the Fallen. And then if I ever get so lucky that The Last Faith comes out, I'll probably be playing that one too. I don't know when, though. It feels like, I wouldn't even say I feel guilty when I'm playing a game right now. I just feel like there's so much I have to get done that I'm really not taking a lot of time to play them right now. Not as much as I used to do. Just a lot of projects and such. And I know most people wouldn't fault me for taking a break, but I just feel like there's too much people are waiting for, and I don't want to do that just yet. Maybe around the holidays I'll do a little bit more gaming. Maybe I can afford to take a week off, or not off, but just kind of work on some light stuff and do that. By the way, anyone who watches and uses colored pencils, this Prismacolor sharpener works great. Doesn't break the pencil lead 8 out of 10 times. And I've also been told that using a makeup pencil sharpener works very well. But that I've never tried. I don't know. Again, I gotta do these YouTube videos where I teach some people some stuff about art. But when I get through more of these live streams and get a little bit more time to do that, right? Because I don't want to start making videos while people are waiting on the Kirkland Horror and Chadiana. After that, then yeah, I can focus on a few other things. But those are the main things to get done. I didn't expect I was going to be putting this much more time into this guy. I thought it was just going to be some quick stuff. You heard a door, it was just my neighbor, my upstairs neighbor. The doors in this apartment complex do not close very well in the warmer months. So it tends to take a little bit more force to get them to click. That's why I always lock my door. It's not so much for protection, although, yeah, that too, but I want to make sure it doesn't accidentally blow open and then Cyrillic gets out while I'm not home. So then I can't keep an eye on her. I do let her out, which reminds me, I didn't take her for shots again. And, her annual checkup, because annual is light term. I got a little bit lax with it during COVID. I think she only went once in the past few years. And she's young still, but, she needs to have some of her stuff updated for sure. I'm not usually that negligent, but COVID made me negligent of a lot of things, including I didn't go to the dentist all through COVID because I didn't want to be there with my mouth open, exposed, just in case. I was just talking to an artist. I won't drop his name because I guess it's his personal business, but a well-known artist, well-regarded artist, somebody whose work I like. And I was just talking to him. He said he hasn't been at a convention until Baltimore. He hadn't been at one, which makes sense because I hadn't seen him at a convention. I haven't seen him do a convention in years. I wouldn't say he's even an acquaintance of mine, but it was nice to go and say hi to him and thank him for one of my first portfolio reviews, which may or may not give it away for anybody that pays attention to the things I talk about. But yeah, the close listeners or readers. I don't know though. Was that in JMD DeSantis the first 10 years? Good question. I wonder. 4 people watching. 2 people have said hello. You other 2 people should say hi, just so that I know who you are. Or don't. You could remain anonymous. I'm just joking around. It's not necessary. This is the kind of show where you can just come and listen to me talk to myself and try to hammer out something that resembles artwork. I would say he's just about done. I just feel like that's a bit bless you, lady. Oh my God. That was a big sneeze from her. I don't know if you heard it, but I did. It might not have picked that up, but that cat never used to sneeze. Never used to shed either. And then she got a little bit older. And then it all started coming off of her. Very much appreciate that from her. Ooh, I like this texture now. Maybe I should have started. Well, I couldn't have started with it because there wouldn't have been anything underneath it. It would have had a different look, but it's kind of nice looking. I don't know how much you guys can see that texture, but yeah, you see it now. Oh yeah, it looks nice on the screen. Oh, I like it better on the screen than I like it in front of me. Oh. She should be just about dry. that's why I don't do, I think I've mentioned it before, but that's why I don't do watercolors at shows anymore. Like if you want a watercolor from me for a commission, you should do a pre-show because, and I'm just saying this in general, I'm not expecting anybody on this to do that right now, but it just takes them too long to dry. So I got back into using markers, which now that I know how to use watercolors, markers are not such a stretch. I'd say now that I know how to use it, I've been using watercolors for a long time. I would say at least semi-professionally for a long time, and I would say well for a good amount of time, right? But oh yeah, that was a good texture. I like that. Just a hard tap of the thing. But yeah, yeah, that's why I use markers at shows now. They just dry quicker, and they're better on sketch covers. Sketch covers don't take. Oh, thank you, Rob. I think it looks nice too. I think Cirilla does too. That's why she had to come and take a look at it. How you doing, lady? Actually, when I'm drawing, it's not too bad when she's up here. When she comes up here and I'm putting down inks or even worse, watercolors, because like sometimes I'm working on an area and I want to fill it real quick so it doesn't dry uneven. And she comes up and oh my God, it couldn't be worse timing. And then because she's a can, she doesn't know what she's doing. I try to just like be patient. If I have a moment though, sometimes I'll just pick her up and carry. I think I've mentioned that before. I'll pick her up and carry her around a bit. And she's like right by my face, so she can keep rubbing my face with hers. And I'll just walk around the apartment a little bit, get some exercise, carry her. Everyone's happy. And then I can get back to work and she comes right back on. Cirilla, I'm not opening the front door right now. We are in the middle of a live stream, and I'm not letting out for a third time today. Usually she will go out, and when I'm home, I'll sometimes, but she'll usually be out for like 20 minutes. That cat used to escape when I first got her, and she would be out forever. She'd always come back though, but now she doesn't go too far, and she doesn't stay out too late. You're crying a lot tonight, lady. What's up? You know what I'm talking about you? She's going to come back up, I know it. No? She's down there scratching herself. Okay. Oh my God, you took it right in the face. You all right? That's what happens when you move so fast. Corner of death. Did her in. Oh yeah, I like that. I really like that texture. For what it's worth. And if you can see it with all of Cirilla's hijinks. Oh yeah. That'll work just good. I'm not going to do anything more to him. He is done. Finished. Oh, I guess I could leave him up there so people could just look at his pretty face, which might be a little bit hard since my face is kind of in the way a little bit. There he is. All right. She's still not quite dry. I could ink the pumpkin witch, or I could draw another thing, or I could get onto this. I have a big list, by the way, of just things that I have to do artwork of. And if you want to see like how crazy it gets, it's like projects of interest, fan art prints. Oh yeah, that's financial. Where am I going? This way? Oh, those were, oh yeah. And this is a list of all the stickers and cards and stuff that I want to create just for extra stuff. Believe it or not, a bunch of the stuff was already done, but I've been trying to get more done. So yeah, like, besides another How much more do I have to do? Besides another 28, 16, 30, 42, 44. Besides another 44 pages of Chadiana for this, I've got all that stuff that I want to do too. Oh, right. And 2 ink books to finish. And probably other things. So that's why I can never finish anything. I got such a long list of projects. No, I finish stuff, but it takes me forever. It does. I gotta start moving faster again. All right. She's not dry yet. Gonna take the top spot over there. What do we got here? Did I already show this one? Why aren't you producing playing cards? Okay, Rob. Yeah, no, I was thinking about that. That is not. So the only thing that I did do is for you guys on Patreon, I did all the new avatars, and yeah, I have to finish. I was going to make cards, coins, well, digital coins, not Bitcoins. Relax, people. I was going to do like digital coins, playing cards or cards, and finish that. Not that I was gonna, I'm going to, and finish the lore book. The tarot card thing is, yeah, something I would like to do. But that's one of those projects like the ink books I want to finish, which is the Lovecraft one and the Monster and Myth one. I want to finish that. I want to do the tarot cards and the playing card decks. And there's a couple other projects too. But I'm trying to get, well, one, the Kirkland Horror done, which is coming. I'm trying to get Chadiana done before I do that stuff. These pieces are because of all of the conventions I'm doing, and I want to make sure I have enough stuff there. Especially, again, I'm going to be in Salem, so I need witches. I need lots of witches for Salem. I'm going to be in Salem at the end of October. But yes, tarot cards are in the mix, but I want to run a Kickstarter for it. Not necessary for Patreon supporters to back it, but I want to run a Kickstarter for it because that's where people were telling me to go for it. I just want to make sure Chadiana is done first. So obviously I'm off. Well, I probably wouldn't be working on those pages during the live stream anyway, just for no spoilers, maybe the first couple pages, but I got to get Chadiana done first and that Kickstarter fulfilled before I run any more Kickstarters. So, yes, I do want to do tarot cards. I just want to make sure, again, Chadiana is done before I do that so that nobody's wondering, hey, how come you started another Kickstarter campaign? I love organizing my projects into lists, then ignoring the lists I've made. I carry over my lists, and actually, you know what, James, this is for you. So on this side, right over here, that's all. How's it showing up there? Okay, yeah. This is all the 2 ink books I got to finish, which I'm about halfway through, and I was before. These are the conlangs. So you can see the whole list there and just how much has actually gotten done. Because I keep reinventing the wheel. Until COVID, when I finally got an idea for it, how to structure them. But yeah, this is all of them. I just always get funny about it. I start doing the phonology, and then I got to start getting words together. But then as I'm getting words together, it's because I'm like trying to create names. So then I start working on the grammar, And then it took me forever to get down the concept of roots. I don't know why. Roots were just a really difficult concept for me to wrap my head around. I started creating complete words and kind of having an idea of roots, but don't ask me why. I would never be able to figure it out. But I would never be able to figure out exactly why it was so difficult for me. But maybe I thought everything would look too much the same, but yeah, like creating root words or, stems and such for my conlangs was like a struggle, for whatever reason, until I started really getting into what am I trying to think of? Semitic languages, which I think are just fascinating. I love the triconsonantal root. I just think that's great, which is why at some point I think I'd like to learn Arabic. But yeah, until I started looking at those languages, then roots started making more sense to me. But even then, it was a process to kind of get down. Oh, this is how root words work in languages. Anyway, I'm over here now because Wicked Witch is still drawing, it seems. All these hot lights on top of her, and she can't dry for me. Oh, well. So, I wonder if you would know this one, Rob. If you would know Vagrant Story, since you're a gamer. I just still find this game so inspiring, though I haven't played in a long time. Yeah. But yeah, James, so you can really see you can see the scope of how many languages I'm trying to do. Oh, but you know what? Here's another one for you. In here. In here is where I get all the work done for it, right? So these are all notes trying to, I mean, if you want to see, where am I going? Right here, I'm trying to figure out like stuff for that one page on Chadiana. So all this stuff is for that because it's in a Semitic language. But on the other end of the book, yeah, I did like a whole, this was during COVID and after, but like I started working out the languages. I was going to do like a whole, what was that, the Swadesh list. But then I decided I wanted to work on roots. So yeah, like I've done all this work. It's not that it isn't there. It's just, it's like everything else in my projects. It's disorganized despite writing it down. And I do it like in sections. So yeah, I work hard. I just don't finish as much as I should. I don't know. It's just my brain just comes up with so much stuff. I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying. I would say that the language, well, I would say Chadiana, and then by extension, the languages are like an extremely important project to me. I'm just finding myself in a position where, for the benefit of Chadiana and my own income and Cirilla, I need to be pulling in a little bit more money at these conventions I'm doing. And I say for the benefit of Chadiana because more money means more money I can dump into the project, and more people seeing my work also means more people that'll read it. But then, of course, it's a lot of time away from it getting all this stuff done. I'm hoping I want to finish the 2 Vagrant Story pieces just so that they're off my plate. And then I want to get rid of those, I want to finish up all the outstanding artwork, which is that medieval spawn and the last Dark Souls piece. And then I just want to work on Chadiana, get the October stuff done. And then that's it. Oh, wait, you said something else. What do we got? Ambitions, indeed. Great notebook. I appreciate that. It's but I don't, you know what, it would be great if I was consistently working in it. Like in college, yeah, I was, but I wasn't that great at creating languages like original. Well, I'm sure that's for all of us. Like, it was laughable. It was derivative in some ways, and other stuff was just like not great. Although I did have an attempt at creating a language family back then when they were all like separate languages and not as connected as a lot of them are now. I did have one language family. But yeah, it wasn't the best attempt. So I didn't even keep most of that. I mean, I kept it, I have it, but so much of it got redone, and then the languages in Chadiana have come together so piecemeal that I'm trying to use what I have and standardize it so that I don't have to keep going back all the time. Basically, right now, some of the languages are probably what, and I wouldn't even compare myself to him on any level, but I can't believe I'm forgetting his first name. Peterson, not Jordan. Of course, I'm talking about the conlanger, David Peterson. So I kind of have like a situation where I guess he did with Dothraki, where he only had like a sketch of a language and had to create the rest of it based off of that, which is what I have with some of the languages. Others have not been so set in stone, so I can completely form them independently of any published work, but some of them have shown a little bit, so I have to make sure that they kind of fit in as well as I can get them to. Because even the name Chadiana, I was a little bit too unknowledgeable about what I was doing when I made the name. And so I've had to course correct a little bit on some things. David, I know. And I just drew a blank. I actually read his, actually, James, oh my God. I have your two books too that I got to read. Oh, I got to put that on the reading list for this year. Only 3 months left. Well, 3.5. I could do. I know your one book is like huge. It's sitting on my bookcase, just right over there. I haven't had that much time to read really. But yeah, I read his book on language invention, which was nice because up to that point, I had read it last year, I think. I don't know why it took me so long, but mostly it's been online articles, my own research into actual linguistics, whatever. Well, when I was in college, it was just basically my own research into languages and such, and then Tolkien. That was like my only outlet for figuring out any like good information, because at least I could trust that Tolkien was a linguist, so like, there had to be some solid thought process behind his stuff. But that's why a lot of the early stuff was like so derivative. But anyway, yeah. I had mostly read Mark Rosenfelder's books, which I really like. But it was interesting to read David's book because it gave me a different perspective on certain things that I hadn't considered before, because different writer, different conlanger just comes at it from a different spot. And then, you got some good insight into some other things that you hadn't really looked at. In fact, I have to go back through some of those sections, but tonal languages, which yes is something else that I'm trying to work through too, like a tonal isolating language. I guess that's similar to what Mandarin would be. Yeah, like I got a better understanding of them because of David's book. So, yeah. I'm sure all the art people are like, why the hell is JM just going on about languages. What is the matter with this man? Yeah, I have other hobbies, guys. What can I say? It's not just painting pretty pictures or writing. Actually, Steph's not here, but he always makes jokes, Steph Wilson, about how I just won't pick something and go with it. I have too many areas of focus, which could be part of my problem too, right? I write, I'm creating languages, building worlds, I do artwork. But when you do so many things, even if you're able to do them well, I don't think that it's impossible to do multiple things well. I think it is possible. But when you do many things and you put enough time into them, it leaves you a lot less time. I'll be with David PN2. Oh, yeah. So I looked it up. I looked up Copacon. I would like to do that in the future, even though it's not for promotion. But yeah, I would really be interested in, again, I have a competing show this year, but if I can manage it for next year, yeah, I would like to go down and see and attend it, hopefully by then I'll actually have some more stuff actually done, but I think it would be great to meet other people in that space, because that's the one thing. And even on the conlang list, I mean, you can tell, I'm not that active. I go through periods where I get active, and then I say I'm going to be more active, and then I'm not. I think the last one broke the ice a little bit better. After you reached out, a lot of people were very, very understanding about the struggles I deal with conlang. But I think, yeah, if I knew more people in it, it would probably boost my confidence and knowledge in the areas. Sometimes I feel like I'm more knowledgeable than I give myself credit for. And then other times I'm just yeah, I'm a self-taught linguist. I don't know anything, nothing, Jon Snow, but I'm probably just not being fair to myself. I'd say, how old am I? 40? So I would say 20 at least. Oh, well, there were some attempts when I was even younger, but I was more into the writing systems. But I would say 22 plus years of study and interest in languages. So yeah, I guess it counts for something, even if it's been all self-taught stuff and reading about what other people have done or written. I think she's dry. Just putting my fingers all over it. Yeah, I know that looks like that. Anyone, again, yeah, I use that because it's much easier. Instead of having a towel next to me, this is really easy. And it looks cooler, right, than having just a rag next to me on the table. So anyway, I wonder who these other people are. 2 are on YouTube, 2 are on Facebook. Rob is on Facebook. James is on YouTube. And I only know that because it comes up with the icon, which, yeah, when I post it, it does too, right? Yeah, it does. Oh, anyway, I hope the silent 2 are enjoying it as well. What was I going to do next? Not a clue. Probably should get onto the Wicked Witch. Right? Good old Grim Reaper. Finished. I really like how that texture came out. In case anyone didn't know, I am a texture fiend. Love textures. So, in the book, those slippers are silver. I've known that a long time, but gotta make sure I do that, because I can't use the movie version. So that means a lot of the cobalt blue and a little bit of that. Only problem is that water's kind of dirty. All right, 1 second. I'm going to just dump this water and fill it with a new one. All right, back. Yeah, so I don't want my blue turning out green, even though it will to a certain extent because of the layering. Anyway, I do hope you have a good time at the convention, though, James. I'm sorry that I won't make it this year, but now that I'm more aware of it, and one of my fellow conlangers has encouraged me to go, I will try to make that happen. I saw that you put a new comment up. Let me finish this blue here. It's going to need some white later. The conlang coin has two sides, technical and artistic. My rule of thumb is to let the artistic side overshadow the technical, let intuition and the story guide you. Yeah, so I'm kind of both ways about it. And that's even how I can be with my writing and my art, which is another reason it probably takes so much time, because there's that, like, what do you call it, that perfectionism that comes in, which is like the killer, right? But, like, yeah, I definitely don't. The thing is, like, I'm trying to relate all the languages to known, to actual languages that exist, right? So they have the flavor and feel of a lot of real world languages, so that at least, a lot of the cultures that inspire the stories, like in Chadiana's case, it's very based on India, so I want both a Dravidian and a Indo-European, a la Sanskrit and Hindi, in the story. So I do have both. Tommy Sakal is Dravidian or Dravidian-esque, and Varasi is more like Sanskrit and Hindi. But anyway, so there's a little bit of that. I don't want to be so derivative with them that I can't create some of my own stuff, but I also want there to be a lot of, like, roots that match up. So it's at least semi-familiar. And then I just want the languages to be able to hold up, right? Because I do know, I guess, among conlangers, the famous story that, what is it, Tintin? That, I forget the artist name, but he never kept good notes on his conlang. So then there's, like, so many contradictions in the languages. I want to make sure that they have some real world connections. As a horse of a different color, I get it now. Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. I want to leave some ability for some invention, but it's hard for me to, like, take off the training wheels and get, like, so, because again, I guess I don't feel that confident in it, that I feel like I could just, like, create the whole thing from scratch. If I was more confident, then yeah, it would be great, because then I could just be like, yeah, this is this word, and that's that. But I try to come from a little bit of a real place with them, so it does make it a little difficult. And then, so here's the thing with the Chaudiat, you want to, like, get really technical, and I find the history part of it, like, the most interesting part, and the idea of, like, I kind of, like, I'm a big fan of, why am I drawing a blank again? etymology. Etymology is probably my favorite part of linguistics, which is why I'm happy that I'm creating more language families, which I hadn't before. But at the same time, it is like a very complicated thing, and I'm not great at changing a word's meaning. But since there are language families, oh God, this is going to get so boring for anyone that's not into languages, but I don't care. I am. So with the language families, right? The one that I'm working on for Chatayana is actually a child language of the language of the Dweros or dwarves. And again, it's Semitic in nature, but also it had some influences later from an isolating tonal language. The language is loosely supposed to represent ancient Egyptian because that's kind of the culture it comes from. But yeah, like now that I'm so deep into this with the language families and everything, I have to get the roots. At least it's a tricontinental root language, right? Like God, I'm getting so technical here. Fascinating stuff. See, guys, this is what takes Chatayana so long to come out. So both languages are tricontinental roots. Really what I have to do right now is just figure out the morphology and the derivation, because again, I kind of was all over the place. I have a lot of words in the languages of Amuncom, but they weren't consistent in my vowel placement. So I kind of have to go and using it, figure out how to properly structure the language now. And while still taking a look at as much of Proto-Semitic, Arabic, Hebrew, as I can to kind of get some inspiration for it. Oh, and ancient Egyptian too. So, like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I really have to stop taking breaks from it. I have to consistently put the time in. But again, like I'm doing all these shows. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm trying to think like where I can get the time because I'm doing all these shows. I got to keep up with my writing and I got to keep up with the art. So it's like, how much time a day do I dedicate to conlining? But I also know that if I don't get it done quick, not quick, but, relatively, like if I don't really get moving with it like I was during the pandemic, it's just going to hold me up more because there's so many other things that I could be doing, like writing more stories if I just hammered out these basics for it. For something like, I forget, Dwayne, my friend Dwayne knew the count, but it's something like 20 languages, spread out. Some of them I don't have to fully flesh out because they're only seen in snippets, but I at least need enough of the structure and the roots to be able to get started. And then, the other ones, I need them more fleshed out. I wanted to create catalogs of names, kind of do the list of place name, parts of place names that I found for like the United Kingdom's islands, because like that was actually really helpful for the Kirkland horror. So I could just mix and match pieces, but I wanted a index of names, index of phrases, all that stuff. So that would make it easier later for me, because if I needed a new character or a new place, I could just go, let's go to the drawing board, and then still be able to have a functioning language that wasn't just a naming language, but I could put bits of sayings and talk and everything in it, because I still feel like, what did I always say? Language, art, food, and, I guess really like belief systems are like the foundations of every culture, I don't want to say civilization, because really not. Every culture, though. Those are like the foundational building blocks. So you got to have those in place. So, like, I'm just very much a proponent that if you create a fictional world, there's got to at least be a system, right? We were talking about George R. R. Martin before, but I do feel like, although he's not a conlanger by any stretch, he doesn't create his own languages, there is at least a system to how he names his characters that it doesn't pull me out of the story. And it will pull me out of the story in other cases. Like if there's no system for it and it seems kind of haphazard, like it's weird, right? Like that was my big problem when I finally read the Michael Moorcock's Elric of Melniboné. I just can't. I couldn't, because like the names were all over the place, and I was like, this language cannot produce both the names Elric and there was another one, and I was just like, it just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, like I need that in a fantasy story. I need stuff that holds up. So George R. R. Martin does a pretty good job with it, but I always got to go bigger because I can't leave well enough alone. But yeah, he at least has a system, and that's what I need. I need a system. I need something that looks, feels, and sounds like it all is cohesive to the whole as far as a fictional language goes. Anyway, I talked about a half hour on languages. Yeah, I do enjoy it though. I just wish I had more time for it. I really wish I did. It's essential that I make the time, though, is basically what I'm saying. It's essential that I make the time for drawing more Chadiana and getting that language done so that the pages that have been sitting for, I think, over a year now, completed for the third Chadiana issue, can just go out. And then, because there's, oh God, this can get me in so much trouble, though. Like Mindy, my letter, finished lettering them a while ago. Some months ago, I finally gave her the script and just told her, I'm going to have you re-letter this one page, but just for now, so it's all done. And that's it. She's just waiting on one page for me to finish enough of the conlang that I can do that. Anyway, yeah, you can all hate me now. One page, one single page, just a couple of lines in a language that doesn't even exist, just to give the story the proper feel and sense of realism that I want it to have. These are the kind of things you back my Kickstarters for, this insane crap. I'm hoping the language in CG's Cherries, the Faded Sun trilogy, isn't too deep or confusing. I haven't read it. But from what I understand, right, going back to, like, I want to read Dune, and that does have not an invented language, but from what I understand, there's a lot of, there's a system to how things are named in Dune, right, which does incorporate a lot of real world languages into it. Also, there's a bit of that going on in the Book of the New Sun, which I've only read Shadow of the Torturer. I really should read the rest of it. I was late to that game. But it's funny, I was looking up books which resemble Dark Souls or which are like Dark Souls, and Book of the New Sun kept coming up. So, some authors do it without creating a whole new language. I just can't do that. I got to get more involved. But now you got me curious, Rob. I want to look that one up. I wonder if James knows it. Because I do think that James is probably a much more knowledgeable and proficient conlanger than I am. I'm just going to make that blanket statement and assume that it is true, because it probably is. So maybe he has heard of it. Your thoughts, James, on C.J. Cherry's The Faded Sun trilogy, if you know it. The languages in it. Good question. Well, as my friend Dwayne said to me one time, I guess the fans of my stuff really do appreciate the amount of work I put into it. It just would be nice if I felt like I was delivering on my promises as much as my ambition tries to reach them. But that's what it is. Gene Wolfe, yeah, Book of the New Sun. I have on my Kindle. I hear it's tough. So yeah, I didn't think it was too tough. There were some things that were a little confusing, but I don't know. I kept up with it okay. It isn't an easy read, but I don't think I was led to believe that it was hard to even understand what was going on in the book, and I don't think that that's true. I think that if you have good reading skills and you're able to concentrate and focus okay, you'll be all right. Rob, you seem to do a lot of reading, so I think, I don't want to judge for you, but I think you'll be okay. But I only read Shadow of the Torturer, right? I don't know if I have that on right. The first book. I have to read the others. And I kind of want to reread. I don't know. I have this obsession with going through a series all at once. But yeah, I would give it a try. Start with the first one and see how you like it. I thought it was great, And well, part of it is there is some invention of language in it, in the sense that, I don't know, I would say it's more like Mad Max, right? In the sense that they're words that exist, but they kind of twist them and kind of make them this new thing with this other meaning. So if you're good at reading context and at word association and that sort of stuff, I think you'll be okay. I didn't have too much trouble with it. Haven't read it, but it sounds intriguing. Neuromancer is another book I'm looking forward to. You're looking forward to Neuromancer. I have heard of it, but I really want to read the other two books on this list of one is definitely dense. I want to read, is it the Prince of Nothing series? Is that the one by the Canadian writer that I can't think of his name now? The first book is The Darkness That Comes Before or something like that. I want to read that. But more than that, I want to try out, now I'm forgetting the series, but it's Fallen Malzaban. Is that right? Yeah. I have Gardens of, oh man, I should just look it up because now I'm sounding like an idiot. I think it's Baker. think it is. Prince of Nothing, R. Scott Baker. Yeah. And then Malazan, Book of the Fallen. Yeah, that's the other one I want to try out. And I have the first one. The first book is Stephen Erickson. What was the first book? Gardens of the Moon. I do have it. People tell me that the Blade itself is really good too, which is Abercrombie, right? I think is that author's name, which I have a copy of that. So yeah, there's a lot of late in the game stuff. Because you know what it was? Like I read, so now we get into my reading habits. I started with Tolkien, but believe it or not, I'm not even trying to brag. When I was in high school, I had a very good Shakespeare teacher, Mr. Muri. Don't know that he watches this show, but been my coworker for 10 years too. I had a very good Shakespeare teacher, and I liked Shakespeare, and I really did, no joke, and still like Edgar Allan Poe. So I was already into classics before I had reached college. Heading into college, I read Tolkien, and then of course and then I went like right into reading translated manuscripts from the Middle Ages and from the Vikings, and like I didn't want like retellings of stories, I wanted translated texts. And I was reading some contemporary fiction, but mostly I read like old stuff. So I never took a journey through any of the other fantasy writers other than I finally decided to give Robert E. Howard a try. And then I decided to give eventually also H.P. Lovecraft a try, which of course is more horror. And then, yeah, like it just, those three occupied my time, and I still read like a lot of classics and old literature, you know. Like Frankenstein's one of my favorite books. So yeah, some of the newer stuff, right? Like anything from the 60s, 70s, you know, some of it I never read, or I got late to reading it. Anyway, Erickson is the author. Malazan, Book of the Fallen. That's too much for me, from what I've heard. Abercrombie is great. Dan Abnett Warhammer series. Well, yeah, you know, I've never played Warhammer, but doesn't mean I couldn't enjoy the books. Kind of how I feel about Dungeons and Dragons. I've only played, I think, 2 games in my entire life. I really not by choice. I played them by choice, yes, but it wasn't by choice that I didn't play the game growing up. It's a long story. But essentially, Mom was against it, not because of the satanic panic stuff, because of other stuff, which I talk about in person, but I guess I shouldn't have it on like a YouTube video, right? A live video. Basically, family stuff, extended family. And she didn't want me getting involved, so she kept me away from Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, like I never even read those books, but although when I was in college, I did read, what was it, Dragons of Autumn Twilight. I also had a girlfriend at the time that she had gotten into the Redwall series, so I read that, which was like a weird thing to have gotten turned on to, considering all my other interests. Oh, but you know, I did read the entire Narnia series too when I was in college. All this stuff was on my own, right? Like I just took it up. Burroughs, yeah. So there's another one, right? Like I think Princess of Mars and Tarzan, right? Never read them. but I have them. You should see what, Rob. I'm not the avid reader that. Well, I am an avid reader, but I probably don't get through nearly as many books as you do. So, you got me beat, right? Um, but you should see how many books I have, and I've read a good amount of them, but I still buy them faster than I can read them, right? Because I've been so busy, I haven't really picked up a book to read in a while, which is not how I want things to go. I always remember meeting writers that were like, "Oh yeah, I have no time to read. I don't want to be that guy." I'm not going to be. It's just been crazy busy lately. But yeah, look at it this way: I haven't read a book in a while, and I just walked home. I just came back from Baltimore with 6 new graphic novels. Yes, they're not as time consuming as a novel, but yeah, this is why I can't get through them as quick. And then occasionally I want to read something a second or third or 10th time, like I did with Tolkien stuff. I read it a lot. Yeah, Burroughs' series is what got me into sci-fi. So I've never been a huge sci-fi fan, mostly because I like fantasy, and I grew up on Star Wars, which I still consider as more science fantasy than science fiction. Um, because the Force pre everything that George Lucas did with it and the prequels, the Force is really like magic, right? But I have continued to be told that if I like Star Wars, I will enjoy Dune. And especially I do like complicated stuff. I know what you're saying, Rob, about the shorter books to me, less than 200 pages. And I do read some of those, right? But I always want to get back into like another, like a new series or try out a new book. And a lot of books I do like reading are long. It's like during the pandemic, I finally read the first Witcher book, and I was actually really happy with it. I'm a hard sell on fantasy, like I said. I didn't like the Elric stories, but I liked the Witcher books. Those were, or the first Witcher book. I also finally, much longer ago, I finally read Fritz Lieber's the first um, Fafnir and Grey Mouser's book, which is Swords and Deviltry, and I loved that. Um, I just really enjoyed it. So I want to read more of those, and those are shorter books, right? But yeah, it's like I love going into a really long book. I mean, you can see by the way I read and the way I talk, I like stuff that really will be long and difficult and mentally stimulating to me, like I just love that stuff. It's why I read classics and old literature. I always felt like when I read a modern book, at least when I was in college, I don't feel this way anymore, but I always felt like when I read a modern book, it wasn't challenging enough for me. Um, what are you reading? A Valerian graphic novel. I didn't see the movie. I heard mixed reviews about it, but that doesn't mean anything. I like what I like, regardless of what other people say. Um, yeah, that's cool though. I guess I didn't even know. I didn't even know it was a. I'm showing my ignorance right now. I don't think I knew it was a graphic novel. Or maybe I did. I don't know. There's so many books I want to read. A total curveball, maybe, in all of this. I still haven't read Although I saw the BBC series, right? I still haven't read. Is it Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, or is it the other way around? Mr. Norrell and Jonathan. I think it's Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Yeah, but I really wanted to read that book. Still haven't done it. Got a hardcover copy sitting right there. And it's not that I haven't been reading. I've been reading very slow this year. I used to average about 12 to 20 books a year. You figure that's what it was like when I was like reading regularly. On a bad year now, I maybe read 5 books, which is just inexcusable for a writer. I can't be reading that slow. I have to constantly be reading. She's coming together. As you can see, going on the art thing for a little bit, right? Well, it's funny because I did start this live stream talking about the release of my newest novel on October 13th. This upcoming October 13th will be the release date. But so I guess us talking about books isn't such a big deal since I started about a book. But for you people that are here for the art, right? You know, like you can see I layer my colors. I start with a wash and then I just layer them. I honestly, you know, again, one of these things I got to make a YouTube video about. Even though I still like doing everything physically and analog, I don't really color any differently than anybody does on the computer. I start with a wash, which would be like a flat color layer. Then I go in and do all the flats. Then I start adding in some textures, and then I go into values, all the shadows and the lights, and adding more effects. And that is how I do it. If I like detailed space opera, Shards of Earth by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky? Did I have that right? Tchaikovsky is really wild. I'm going to have to, you know, when I end this live stream, I'm going to go back through the chat and write down all of these books, just so you know, both from you and James, both you, Rob, and James, everything that has come up. Because, yeah, I could always use new stuff. Every once in a while, like when I was in college, right, again, I would read a lot of old literature. And again, nothing recommended by I was going to art school. I just took it on. Although I did take a medieval literature course that opened me up to French literature because I was reading a lot of Nordic and Anglo-Saxon stuff. Suzanne Verderber was my medieval professor. But yeah, so where was I going with this? I always thought I was going to run out of books to read because like everyone I was reading was dead. And lo and behold, I will always find new books to read. So yeah, I'll give all these a try. Another curveball, right? And I haven't read it in a while, but what got me back into reading, because I kind of took a break from it when I was in high school. I read when I was a kid, and then I don't know, I could just never finish a book for a long time. And it was both The Hobbit when I finally read it, and Crime and Punishment. Crime and Punishment was such a good book. Oh my God, I loved it. Yeah, pretty much after middle school when I was reading the Shakespeare stuff, all until my senior year in high school, I barely read for whatever reason. I wasn't reading a lot on my own, maybe occasionally. And I was cliff noting the books in school until I got to senior year, and then I took AP English. Thanks to Mr. Reeves letting me in, even though he knew my games. Yeah, then I got back into it. The Hobbit, which was on my own, and Crime and Punishment, which he gave us, and yeah, I thought that book was so good. Dostoevsky. And since we're talking about, well, since I brought up Russian writers, I still feel like I have to read a Tolstoy book. But then again, not Russian. I still haven't read The Count of Monte Cristo, which is sitting on my bookshelf since college, which is like thick. Yeah, no, that's true. And I kind of forgot that about the book until you brought it up. Yeah, it was a little hard to keep. It was hard to keep track of the characters a bit, but I still really, really loved that book. I think because, well, there's where it is, right? I mean, I like horror too, but when it comes to books, like there's the two things, right? The Hobbit, fantasy, adventure, all that stuff, and Crime and Punishment is very like psychological and dense and theoretical, and it just, and that's the way I like to write too. It's like the combination of those two things. It's a weird non sequitur, but one of my favorite filmmakers, I know some people are going to hate me for this, is Christopher Nolan. And I just think I love the fact that he combines both, really big, complex concepts with, just a good, like, action blockbuster, as he does in a lot of cases. So, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to achieve, I always have been, even before I knew of his work, was trying to achieve something like that in my own work. Although, I'm not doing all that. Really, I wouldn't say we're in the same vein. I'm certainly not as talented. Some people would say more. I know there are people that don't like Christopher Nolan films, but only one I didn't like was Insomnia. But the first one I saw, we just took a chance when I was in college and rented Memento, and I thought that was a great film. But I haven't seen a lot of his newer stuff, which is a shame, but pre-pandemic and pandemic really kept me away. I haven't seen Tenet. I didn't see Interstellar. Oppenheimer's out, and I haven't seen it. Gotta be honest, no hate to anybody that wants to see or did see Barbie. Totally support your choices in life. I just have no interest in seeing Barbie, but, Oppenheimer, if I had to make a choice. Yeah. Since that was a thing about a month ago, I'm dating myself right now. Dating, as in dates on a calendar in the year, clarify that. Or somebody takes that sound clip and says, J.M. DeSantis is dating himself. Oh, wow. We at 10 o'clock already? The last time I went an extra 20 minutes because I just didn't want to stop working or talking. I don't know where all my peeps are at. But at least I got James and Rob here for the whole thing. You guys are troopers. I appreciate you coming out. I'm not quite closing up yet. Well, maybe, I don't know. She's taking a little bit to dry. I wonder, it's the one thing it's not the one thing. It's one of the things I like better about the winter, besides the fact that I'm really not big on hot weather anyway. I like the fall and the winter, but the lack of humidity does help my watercolor work dry faster. I do have a hair dryer that I will use sometimes, but obviously I'm not going to do that in the middle of a live stream. That would be obnoxious. But yeah, what is it, 10 o'clock on the dot? I can go another minute or two. Anyway, yeah, guys, I really appreciate all the book recommendations. You know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to take one of those books off the shelves and I'm going to start reading. Oh, wait a minute. I have 2 graphic novels I got to read. Lycan and Kyra. Because over the last couple of shows, I met the creators of both. Well, Ron Woodall. Actually, I was already friends with him on Facebook. Who knows if he actually came in for a little bit. But yeah, his work's really good. So I picked up one of his books. Well, we did a trade. He wanted a couple of mine, believe it or not. It's always nice when that happens. Hopefully he likes them. Yeah, so I got 2 graphic novels to read, but I will, after those 2 graphic novels are done, I'm going to read one of those books that I need to read or want to read. Need is a poor choice of words. If it's need, it's never going to be enjoyable. Anyway, it's too bad that the color gets a little distorted on this camera, but believe it or not, she's not quite as yellow as it's looking. Let me see if I turn this down, how that'll be. Better, but then you get that super clear at the top. I'm working on it. Len Danovich told me to use some other lights. So yeah, she's looking all right. Well, let's get this one out of the way of it a little bit. Yeah, she's looking pretty green. It's more washed out on this, but yeah. Background will be gray. I just wanted the yellow on the bottom. A lot of this is going to be gray. Usually when I draw her, the Wicked Witch, I put her in purple and black, but yeah, apparently in the books it's yellow. She wears a lot of yellow and black and yellow. So all the wrappings and this fur-looking stuff and her wrappings on her hat are going to be yellow. But the flats are almost done. Maybe I'll finish them tomorrow after I get done with editing the final edits and clean up on the Kirkland horror, lay it out, get it ready to go. I really wanted it available for pre-order tonight before I went live, but I'm still finishing it up. But we'll get there. It'll be available for pre-order. Anyway, yeah, I'm talking to nobody but the screen at this point. Guys, gentlemen, Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Williams, thank you so much for coming by tonight, and everybody else that tuned in or tunes in afterwards. I'll be back again next Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I don't foresee me taking another week off until some of the dates might move around, but I'll get to that because I'm going to do one the week of the week the Kirkland horror comes out. I probably am going to do a live stream on Friday the 13th. So cancel your Jason Voorhees marathons because we'll be doing that. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So, but next week I'll be here on Tuesday. Yeah. Great to see you on the stream too, Rob. Thanks for coming by. James, also, thank you. Oh, wait. Let me try to pronounce this. Makosku? Maybe I got it right. Yes. All right, guys. I'll see you next Tuesday or on one of the other Tuesday nights. Keep everybody posted. Thanks for coming by. I hope it was enjoyable. Even my ramblings about conlangs. Well, I know James enjoyed that, but yeah. All right. See you next week. Have a great night. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the weekend. I'll be in New Hampshire at Granite State. New Jersey after that for a while. Yeah. Okay. Good night, everyone. See you on the other side of the weekend. Or on the weekend if you're going to the show, right?